You know that person, the one who never raises their voice, the one who smiles through every insult, every disappointment, every moment that would make anyone else snap. They are patient, they are kind, they are always, always fine. But here is the truth that no one talks about. Beneath that calm surface, there is a storm, and storms that are held inside do not simply fade away. They grow, they change shape, they find other ways to escape. This is the psychology of repressed anger. And if you have ever felt a pressure building in your chest that you could not name, if you have ever smiled when you wanted to scream, if you have ever wondered why you feel so exhausted, even when nothing seems wrong, then this is for you. Anger is one of the most misunderstood emotions we carry. We are taught from our earliest days that it is dangerous, that it is ugly, that good people do not get angry, and if they do, they certainly do not show it. We learn to push it down, to swallow it, to pretend it does not exist. And for a while, this seems to work. The anger goes quiet. The world stays peaceful. But the anger does not disappear. It cannot. Energy does not vanish. It only transforms. Think of a pressure cooker on a stove. The heat builds inside, and the steam has nowhere to go. For a time, the lid holds. Everything looks calm on the outside. No one would know that inside the temperature is rising, but the pressure keeps rising. And eventually, one of two things happens. Either you release the valve slowly, carefully, in controlled bursts, or the whole thing explodes. Most of us were never taught how to release the valve. We were taught to keep the lid on tighter. The reasons we repress anger are as varied as the people who do it. For some, it begins in childhood. Perhaps you grew up in a home where anger meant danger, where a raised voice signaled that something terrible was about to happen. In that environment, your young mind learned a simple equation. Anger equals pain. And so you decided, without even knowing you were deciding, that you would never be the source of that pain. You would be different. You would be safe. You would be good. This early programming runs deep. A child who watches a parent explode in rage learns that anger is unpredictable, that it destroys things, that it cannot be controlled. And so that child makes a silent vow. I will never be like that. I will be calm. I will be steady. I will be the one who holds everything together when others fall apart. This vow feels noble at the time. It feels like strength, but it is actually the beginning of a long disconnection from a fundamental part of being human. Sometimes the programming is more subtle. Perhaps anger was not violent in your home, but it was met with withdrawal. When you expressed frustration, your parent went silent. They left the room. They turned away. They withheld affection until you apologized, until you became small again, until you learned that your feelings were too much for them to handle. This teaches a different lesson, but arrives at the same painful destination. Your anger pushes people away. Your anger makes you unlovable. Better to swallow it than risk being alone, being abandoned. For others, the conditioning comes from culture, from religion, from the roles we are expected to play. Women are often taught that anger is unfeminine, that it makes them difficult or unattractive. A girl who speaks up too forcefully is called bossy. A woman who sets firm boundaries is called cold. The message is clear. Your anger is not welcome here. And so women learn to turn their anger inward, to doubt themselves, to ask whether they have the right to feel what they feel. Men are sometimes taught the opposite extreme, that any emotion other than anger is weakness, which paradoxically can make healthy anger feel impossible to express. You are allowed to rage, or you are allowed nothing at all. boy who cries is mocked. A man who admits to feeling hurt is seen as less than. And so men learn to convert every feeling into anger, until anger is all they know how to express, or they learn to feel nothing at all. Neither option leaves room for the slow, honest acknowledgement of what you actually feel. And then there are those who learned that being needed was the only way to be loved. If you were the peacekeeper in your family, the one who smoothed over conflicts, the one who made everyone else feel comfortable, then anger was a threat to your entire identity. How could you be angry and still be the person everyone depended on? The two seemed impossible to hold at the same time. And so you chose. You chose to be needed. You chose to be good. You chose silence. This role becomes a cage. The more you perform it, the more trapped you feel. Every time someone praises you for being so patient, so understanding, so easy to be around, the cage gets smaller. Because you know the truth. You know there is another version of you beneath the surface, a version with sharp edges and strong opinions, and a fierce desire to be seen for who you really are. But that version has been locked away for so long that you are not even sure it still exists. But here is what silence costs. Your body does not forget what your mind refuses to feel. Every time you swallow your anger, your body receives it instead. Your shoulders tighten, your jaw clenches, your stomach churns with acid that has nowhere to go. Over time, this becomes your baseline. You walk through life with a low hum of tension that you have carried so long you no longer notice it. You think this is just how you are. You think this is normal. It is not normal. It is the physical toll of a war you are fighting against yourself. The research on this is striking. People who chronically suppress their emotions show higher rates of inflammation in their bodies. They experience more headaches, more digestive problems, more autoimmune conditions. Their immune systems work less effectively. Their sleep is often shallow and unsatisfying. The body, it turns out, is keeping a careful record of everything the mind refuses to acknowledge. And sooner or later, the bill comes due. Consider a case profile that represents patterns observed across many similar stories. We will call him Thomas. Thomas spent 30 years being the nice guy. At work, he volunteered for the projects no one else wanted. He never complained when his contributions went unrecognized. He laughed along when colleagues made jokes at his expense, even when the joke stung, even when something inside him wanted to push back. At home, he agreed with his wife even when he disagreed. With his children, he was endlessly patient, never raising his voice, never setting firm boundaries, even when they needed him to. Everyone admired Thomas. Everyone trusted Thomas. Thomas was the safest person in any room. But safe is not the same as known. And Thomas had never let anyone truly know him. But Thomas had headaches that would not go away. He had trouble sleeping. He felt a strange, constant fatigue that no amount of rest could cure. His doctor found nothing wrong. His test came back clean. And yet Thomas felt like he was slowly disappearing, like something inside him was being erased piece by piece. He went through the motions of his life, but there was no joy in it, no passion, no spark, just the dull ache of existing without ever truly living. One evening, Thomas came home from work to find his teenage son had borrowed his car without asking and scratched the bumper. It was a minor thing, a small inconvenience, but something in Thomas broke. He screamed. He threw his keys across the room. He said things he did not mean, words that shocked his family and shocked himself most of all. And then, just as quickly as it began, it was over. Thomas collapsed into a chair, shaking, apologizing, unable to understand what had just happened. What happened was simple. The pressure cooker exploded. This is how repressed anger often reveals itself. Not in the moment when it is justified, but later, in moments that seem too small to matter. You do not yell at the boss who humiliates you in a meeting. You yell at your partner for leaving dishes in the sink. You do not confront the friend who betrayed your trust. You snap at a stranger in traffic. The anger finds a way out. It always finds a way out. But because it has been compressed and hidden for so long, it comes out sideways, distorted, aimed at the wrong targets. This is what we call leakage. The anger leaks through the cracks in your carefully constructed calm. It shows up as sarcasm that cuts a little too deep, as passive-aggressive comments you pretend are jokes, as a coldness that settles over you when you are hurt, a withdrawal that punishes others with your silence. You are not yelling. You are not throwing things. But the anger is still there, still doing its damage, just in quieter ways. The leaked anger poisons relationships slowly. Your partner cannot understand why you seem so distant. Your friends sense something is off, but cannot name it. Your children learn that emotions are dangerous things, meant to be hidden, and the cycle begins again in a new generation. All because you were afraid to say, simply and honestly, I am angry. Some people live their entire lives in this state of leakage. They never have a single explosive moment like Thomas. Instead, they drip poison slowly, year after year, into their relationships, into their health, into their sense of self. They become cynical. They become bitter. They look at the world through a lens of suspicion and disappointment, never realizing that the darkness they see everywhere is actually the shadow of their own unacknowledged rage. There is a concept in psychology called the shadow. It refers to the parts of ourselves we have rejected, the qualities we find unacceptable, the emotions we have exiled from our conscious awareness. For those who repress anger, the shadow grows large and powerful. It contains all the rage you were never allowed to feel, all the boundaries you were never allowed to set, all the times you should have said no, but said yes instead. And the shadow does not stay hidden forever. It influences you from beneath the surface, shaping your choices, coloring your perceptions, sabotaging your happiness in ways you cannot see. You might find yourself attracted to angry people, fascinated by those who express what you cannot. Or you might be repelled by them, judging them harshly, not realizing that your judgment is actually fear of your own hidden rage. You might sabotage your own success because somewhere deep down you believe you do not deserve good things. The shadow has many ways of making itself known, all of them indirect, all of them painful. The shadow is not your enemy. This is the crucial thing to understand. The anger you have buried is not a monster waiting to destroy you. It is a part of you that has been locked away, starving for acknowledgement, desperate to be heard. And here is the strange, beautiful paradox. The only way to tame the shadow is to welcome it. The only way to find peace with your anger is to finally, honestly feel it. This is terrifying for most people. If you have spent decades building walls against your own emotions, the idea of tearing those walls down feels like inviting chaos. What if you cannot control it? What if you become the thing you have always feared, the angry person, the dangerous one, the one who hurts others? These fears are understandable, but they are based on a misunderstanding of what healthy anger actually is. Anger, at its core, is a boundary-setting emotion. It arises when something important to you has been violated, when someone crosses a line, when a situation is unfair, when you've been treated as less than you deserve. Anger is your psyche's way of saying, this is not acceptable. This matters. I matter. Without anger, you have no way to protect yourself, no internal alarm system, no fuel for change. The problem is not that you feel anger. The problem is what you do with it. Repression is one extreme. You feel the anger but refuse to acknowledge it. You pretend it does not exist. And so it burrows deeper, causing damage from within. Explosion is the other extreme. You feel the anger and unleash it without filter, without control, causing damage to everyone around you. Neither of these is healthy. Neither of these leads anywhere good. The middle path is integration. Integration means learning to feel the heat of your anger without being burned by it. It means sitting with the discomfort long enough to understand what the anger is telling you. It means finding ways to express your truth that are honest but not destructive, firm but not violent, clear but not cruel. This is a skill. Like any skill, it takes practice. And like any skill, it begins with awareness. The first step is simply to notice. Notice when your body tightens. Notice when your thoughts become harsh and critical. Notice when you want to say something but hold back. Notice when you feel a sudden wave of exhaustion after a conversation that seemed perfectly pleasant. These are signals. Your body and mind are trying to tell you something. The question is whether you are willing to listen. Start paying attention to the small moments. The tightness in your chest when someone interrupts you. The flash of heat when someone takes credit for your work. The heaviness that settles in when you agree to something you did not want to do. These are your anger's whispers, and if you learn to hear them, you will not have to wait for it to scream. The second step is to name what you feel. This sounds simple, but for those who have repressed their anger for years, it can be surprisingly difficult. You may have become so disconnected from your emotions that you genuinely do not know what you are feeling. You may use vague words like stressed or tired or fine, when what you actually mean is furious or betrayed or hurt. Precision matters here. The more accurately you can name your emotion, the more power you have over it. Try building a vocabulary of feeling words, not just angry, but frustrated, resentful, indignant, bitter, irritated, enraged. Each of these points to something slightly different. Each gives you a different key to understanding what is happening inside you. The richer your emotional vocabulary, the more skilled you become at navigating your inner world. The third step is to ask why. Why am I angry? What boundary has been crossed? What need has been ignored? What old wound has been reopened? Anger is rarely just about the present moment. It usually connects to something deeper, something older, some pattern that has repeated throughout your life. Understanding the roots of your anger does not make it disappear, but it does give you context. It does give you compassion for yourself. And compassion is the soil in which healing grows. Often, you will find that your anger today is connected to something from long ago. The frustration with your partner echoes the frustration you felt as a child when your needs were overlooked. The rage at an unfair situation at work connects to every time you were told to be quiet, to not make waves, to accept less than you deserved. Seeing these connections does not excuse bad behavior, yours or anyone else's, but it does help you understand the weight you have been carrying. The fourth step is to choose your response. This is where the real work happens. You have noticed your anger, you have named it, you have understood its roots. Now what? You have options. You can speak your truth directly to the person who triggered your anger, using words that are honest but not attacking. You can write about your feelings in a private journal, giving them space to exist without causing harm. You can move your body, running or swimming, or dancing until the physical energy of the anger has been released. You can create something. channeling the fire into art or music or building. The key is that you are no longer pretending. You are no longer hiding. You are taking your anger seriously and treating it with respect. Some people find it helpful to practice with small angers first. The mild irritation when someone cuts in line. The slight frustration when plans change at the last minute. These low-stakes situations are perfect training grounds. Notice the feeling. Name it. Let yourself feel it fully for just a moment. Then respond in a way that honors your experience without causing harm. Over time, this builds a muscle. The muscle of healthy anger. And that muscle will be there when you need it for the bigger moments. This does not mean you will never struggle. Integration is not a destination you arrive at once and stay forever. It is a practice, a way of living, a constant negotiation between who you have been and who you are becoming. There will be days when the old patterns pull you back, days when the lid goes on tight again, days when you choose silence because honesty feels too hard. This is okay. This is human. The goal is not perfection. The goal is progress. The goal is to spend a little more time each day living as your true self instead of the self you think you should be. And here is what waits on the other side. When you stop fighting your anger, you discover something remarkable. You discover that you are not a dangerous person. You are a person who feels deeply. You discover that your anger, when honored and expressed, does not destroy your relationships. It actually makes them more honest, more real, more capable of true intimacy. You discover that the exhaustion you have carried for so long begins to lift because you are no longer spending all your energy on an internal war. People who learn to integrate their anger often report feeling more alive than they have in years. Colors seem brighter. Food tastes better. They laugh more easily and cry more freely. Because when you stop blocking one emotion, you stop blocking them all. Joy and anger are not opposites. They are neighbors. And when you wall off one, you wall off both. This is the secret that people who repress their anger never discover until they stop. That the capacity to feel is not selective. You cannot numb yourself to pain without also numbing yourself to pleasure. You cannot silence your rage without also silencing your joy. You discover that being good is not the same as being silent. That peace does not come from suppression. That the calmest people in any room are not the ones who feel nothing, but the ones who have learned to feel everything and still remain whole. The storm inside you is not your enemy. It is your power. It is the part of you that knows what you deserve and is willing to fight for it. It is the part of you that refuses to be small, to be forgotten, to be erased. For too long, you have been afraid of this power. You have locked it away, hoping it would disappear. But it has only grown, stronger in the dark. Think of all the times you said yes when you meant no. All the times you smiled when you wanted to scream. All the times you told yourself that your feelings did not matter, that keeping the peace was more important than telling the truth. Those moments left marks. They cost you something. And the only way to reclaim what was lost is to stop pretending that the cost was worth it. It is time to open the door. It is time to feel the wind and the rain. It is time to let the storm speak its truth, not in destruction, not in chaos, but in the clear, honest voice of someone who finally knows their own worth. Someone who has learned that feelings are not weaknesses, that boundaries are not cruelty. That speaking up for yourself is not the same as hurting others. The silence was never your strength. It was your prison. And you, and only you, hold the key. The question is not whether you are ready. You have been ready for longer than you know. The question is whether you are willing, truly willing. Willing to feel what you have spent so long avoiding. willing to become someone new, or perhaps to become who you always were before the world taught you to hide. The storm is waiting. It has always been waiting, and it is time to let it speak.